Ding, ding. The battle rages on. In one corner, you have Washington State and Oregon State. In the other corner, you have the 10 departing members of the Pac-12 conference. Who controls the assets of the Pac-12? And there's an article out about it from John Wilner, a very well done article, I might add, that I'm going to talk about. And we're going to provide an update. And we're also going to talk about how it ties in to some conversations about future expansion of the Big 12 and how some out there are saying that Washington State and Oregon State could use money gained from this case to buy their way into a power conference. We're going to talk about all that right after this word from my sponsor. Ladies and gentlemen, this episode is brought to you by Dutch Miller Automotive, where friends and family pricing means you get the best deal right up front on any new or pre-loved vehicle in stock every time. With brands like Chevrolet, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Kia, Hyundai, Ford, GMC, Buick, and Subaru, the Dutch Miller Automotive family is always growing and ready to put you in the car or truck you've been searching for. Check out our inventory across West Virginia at DutchMillerAuto.com or come in today to the home of friends and family pricing, only at a Dutch Miller Automotive store near you. What is up, college sports fans, Big 12 fans, and fellow members of Mountaineer Nation? Welcome into another edition of Kuz's Corner. Belly yourself up to the bar and let me serve you up another shot of top-shelf college football content on tap in today's episode. We're once again talking about the Pac-12 saga as Washington State and Oregon State continue to fight for control of the Pac-12 against the 10 departing members of the league. John Wilner put out a really good article in the Mercury News yesterday, which was Thursday, November 2nd. We're going to talk about that article a little bit, and then I'm going to tie that in with the discussion about that's been going on for several weeks now. It's kind of died down, but, I'll kind of refresh your memory about Washington State and Oregon State possibly being flushed with some cash and being able to use that to buy their way into a power league. So let's start off with the article. Again, it's by John Wilner from the Mercury News. I will leave a link to the article in the description box. But here's the title, Pac-12 Legal Affairs. In latest filing, 10 departing schools suggest WSU and OSU, which is Washington State and Oregon State, want 23 and 24 revenue for themselves. Washington filed a motion of opposition to a preliminary injunction on Thursday. Now, I was under the impression that the fight was for future money. But apparently, it's for 23 and 24 money. Washington State and Oregon State are like, look, these schools have announced they're leaving the conference. They no longer have a seat on the board, and if they no longer have a seat on the board, then they no longer get the assets the conference is promised or is guaranteed, and they're saying that's per the bylaws and the precedent that was set. Now, the precedent that was set were, according to Washington State and Oregon State, were statements that Commissioner George Klefkoff made under oath, saying that when USC and UCLA departed the league, and I'm paraphrasing all this, so hear me out or be patient. But when USC and UCLA announced they were leaving, the rest of the conference basically said, hey, they no longer have a seat on the board, which means they're no longer part of the conference. And there was also an article written that the same thing was said about Colorado by the remaining members. And Washington State and Oregon State are like, listen, they can't agree to that with these other schools and then all of a sudden say it doesn't apply anymore because we're the ones leaving. That's Washington State and Oregon State's argument in a nutshell. But the other 10 schools are saying no. Just because that was stated in a quote by George Klefkoff or whoever, it doesn't mean that doesn't impact what the actual bylaws state. So basically it comes down to a difference of interpretation of the bylaws. And it'll be interesting to see how the judge in this case interprets these bylaws. And also in this article, I'll tell you what, let me read a little bit of it. It says, with Washington as the conduit, the 10 outgoing members of the Pac-12 on Thursday filed a motion opposing the push by Washington State and Oregon State to secure a preliminary injunction that would grant the two remaining schools control of the conference. And like I said, control of the conference means control of the assets. Washington State and Oregon State believe the 10 outbound schools have relinquished their seats on the governing board by accepting offers from other leagues, thereby leaving the Cougars and Beavers as the only voting members and in control of the assets. The departing schools are fighting to retain their seats. In the latest filing in Whitman County, Washington Superior Court, they argued that Washington State and Oregon State intend to use the revenue generated by the Pac-12 in their current sports year to fund their plans for the future. Now, it goes on to talk about as well in this article. And again, I'm not going to read this whole article to you. I don't want to bore you to death. I can summarize it for you. It goes on the article to talk about how the 10 departing members are going, look, they're trying to use the fact that we're leaving the conference against us. But Washington State and Oregon State were also trying to leave the conference. And they are bringing a case and saying that, look, we have proof that Washington State and Oregon State were both having talks with other conferences back in the summer. They were also trying to get out of the conference. So in the eyes of the 10 departing members, that is not a legit argument. But now at the end of the day, look, I'm an unbiased observer in this whole thing. I totally understand both sides of this argument. Every institution has to do what's best for them in this case. Okay. I don't think anybody's trying to steal anything, as has been indicated on Twitter by some folks. Nobody's trying to steal anything. This is a court case. It will be decided by the courts. Washington has basically said in this statement that, hey, look, if we don't get our way here, we're going to take this all the way to the Washington State Supreme Court. So they kind of made a subtle threat there to say, hey, you better help us out here, or we're taking this up the ladder. We're going to even higher with this. So there was some of that. But what I want to get to now is how this could potentially tie into Big 12 expansion or not, okay? Several weeks ago, there was a video that went somewhat viral where a friend of the show, Immaculate, who you guys probably know from the Big 12 Mafia show, he said basically he dove into the articles and all the information that's out there about realignment and came to this conclusion that if Washington State and Oregon State get the future assets of the Pac-12, they would be potentially flushed with over $300 million in money that they could then use to potentially buy their way into a power league. Okay. And he thinks the Big 12 is a league that they would enter. Now, I don't agree. I don't think they're going to get in the Big 12 because I don't think the Big 12 is interested in adding them, just to be honest. But his argument was that because of the current college football playoff being expanded to 12 teams, that there's going to be more money generated by the college football playoff. And if they win this case, they will get control of all of the Pac-12 college football playoff money. And it would be, and you add that into the Rose Bowl money, NCAA tournament money, and all other revenue, and they would get over $300 million. Well, I disagree that they're going to get that much money. But what this article does tell me is this. These two schools are going to get some cash, folks. They're going to get at least a ballpark number of about $200 million to split between them. And this article actually confirms it. Let's read it. It says, and this is a quote from the statement that was released by Washington along with the other 9 schools. It says, whatever OSU and WSU decide to do with money earned after August 1st, 2024, it is fundamentally inequitable to allow them to take current year revenues and, in the words of the conference, confiscate such revenues and assets in contravention of all members' rights to and interest in them, end quote. So they acknowledge here that Washington State and Oregon State will get money earned after August 1st, 2024. The article goes on to say the motion states that the Pac-12 expects more than $100 million in revenue in each of the 2 years after the 10 schools depart, meaning the 2025 and 26 fiscal years. So in 25 and 26, Washington State and Oregon State are going to make more than $100 million in revenue in each year, which is about $200 million, which comes down to about $100 million a school. That's still a lot of money. It may not be $300 million, but it's $200 million. So even though Immaculate, even if he's wrong here on the actual number, he's still partially right because they are going to get the future money, and that is actually acknowledged in this article because what the current case is about is the current money. They're fighting over revenues from this year. Now, if they happen to win that, they would be flushed with about $300 or $400 million in cash. Now, I don't think that'll happen. I don't think a court is going to grant Washington State and Oregon State money earned from this season because none of the teams are even leaving until next year. And I just don't see that happening. They're all playing in the Pac-12 this year. So I think that they will all get their share of the money this year. But who knows? Who knows? Maybe they have a legit case and they do end up with that money. Now, if that's the case, Immaculate's going to come out looking pretty smart. But it goes on an article to say it does not provide a breakdown of the revenue streams of that $100 million I mentioned or $200 million I mentioned. But the Rose Bowl contract college football playoff distributions and NCAA tournament units are believed to be worth tens of millions of dollars per year. Now, yes, if the college football playoff expands, that pot could grow. But I'm of the belief, and Immaculate and I have debated this, I'm of the belief that there is no way in the world the College Football Playoff Committee is ever going to allow that much money to go to two teams. I just don't see it happening. But even if they don't get the extra money the playoff makes, they're at least going to probably get a couple $100 million. And they can use that money to help secure their future. It may not be enough to buy their way into the Big 12, but could it be enough to buy their way into the ACC? We've already seen the ACC is willing to take teams at a discount. Could they do that? Or does it help them keep the Pac-12 brand and bring some Mountain West teams over to the conference? Could they do that? Or maybe go grab some American Conference teams? So this right here tells us that these two teams are going to walk away with at least a couple $100 million from this, from 25 and 26 revenues. So I think that's a big deal. I want to hear your thoughts on this case. Or do you think Immaculate's right? Or do you think he's wrong about all that money going to two schools? And also, what do you think the outcome of this case ends up being at the end of the day? Do you think Washington State and Oregon State have a legit case to actually get the revenues from the 2023-2024 athletic year? Or do you think that money should be split evenly among the other teams? I want to get your thoughts. Also, folks, I'm asking for your support here. There are a lot of ways you can support my channel. You can do it financially to help me grow this thing. And like I said, hey, I got $3. I'm probably going to have 3 weddings to pay for. I got one getting ready to go off to college. Take that for what it's worth. But no, in all seriousness, if you want to support me financially, you can buy merch from my merch store. If you buy merch from my merch store, but between now and November the 5th, using the link in the description box or pressing one of the photos below the description box, you get 20% off any purchase you make between now and November 5th. Also, I'm now partnered with On It Athlete trading cards. If you click the link in my description box, go to On It Athlete, purchase NIL trading cards of your favorite team, and there are some Pac-12 teams available, by the way, including the Washington Huskies. Go get yourself some On It trading cards of your favorite team. It will support those athletes via NIL, and you'll get yourself some cool trading cards. And I would make a small commission from that sale. Also, you can join my channel, become a Couz's Corner VIP member. I want to give a shout out to my latest channel member. His name, C. Dotson B210. I want to thank you, C. Dotson B210, he or she, for joining the channel. I always say he because 96% of my viewers are male, folks. So if I say he, I'm likely right. But if you're not a he, I apologize. But C. Dotson B210, thank you for joining Couz's Corner VI as a Couz's Corner VIP. Also want to give a shout out to a couple of members who recently upgraded from the pub level, $2.99 level, to the $4.99 club level. That is Beers Sports Lounge and Tom Reinhardt. Thank you, too, for upgrading your memberships here at Couz's Corner, taking advantage of the additional perks, which include additional discounts on merch with a special link in the community tab, a private Discord server access, and occasional videos with limited ads. Those are 3 of the perks offered. All members get recognized on my videos, as you can see by the name scrolling along the bottom of the screen, and the shout outs I will do on occasion. With all that being said, if you want to support me for free, you can do that too, folks, and it goes a long way. You can hit the like button, the dislike button, leave a comment, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Also, I can't forget, I want to give a shout out, even though he's not a channel member, he has donated a lot to my channel through super chats, super thanks, a lot of those things. Opie D Don, I want to thank you for the support of my channel. I really appreciate all the super chats, all the super thanks. Super thanks, by the way, is a heart below with a little $sign. It's a way you can make a one-time donation to the channel. But I want to give a shout out to Opie because he deserves that as well. With that being said, thanks for tuning into this episode, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a top shelf rest of your day. And as always, don't forget to cue Country Roads.